portugués en español. Joana Roque Gimpinho, a Portuguese lady in this town, who was going to come here and read the poem by Fernando, which is an icon, the national Portuguese poet, but she couldn't make it. I'm going to read the poem with a Brazilian accent, that's the Portuguese I know, and with a Portuñol accent. And I'm going to do something more beyond there. I'm going to translate it, read the translation into Spanish and then into English. Autopsicografía, which is autopsicography. O poeta fingidor finge tão completamente que chega a fingir que a dor que devera sente. E os que leem ou escrevem na dor lida sentem bem, não as duas que ele teve, mas só aqueles não têm. É assim nas calhas de roda, gira a entreter a razão, esse comboio de corda que se chama coração. En Spanish, autopsicografía, el poeta es un fingidor, finge tan completamente que hasta finge que es dolor, el dolor que de veras siente. Y quienes leen lo que escribe, sienten en el dolor leído, no los dos que el poeta vive, sino aquel que no han tenido. Y así va por su camino, distrayendo la razón, ese tren sin real destino que se llama corazón. Esta traducción es de Santiago Kovatlov. La traducción en inglés fue un poco problemática. Había 16 versiones. There were 16 versions of the translation into English. And then Joanna was not sure which one to choose, that she didn't like none of them. She asked her mother to translate it from Portuguese into English, but finally she decided that she sent me a translation by Jean R. Longline. Still problematic. Fingidor is translated into English as faker, but I don't like. A poet is a faker? No. Pretender? No. Not really. Feigner, to feign, F-I-G-N-E-R, feigner. Well, this is the most accepted one. So, autopsicography. The poet is a feigner. So completely does he feign that the pain he truly feels, he even feigns as pain. And those who read his writings will feel the printed pain, not the two that he has suffered, but the one that they must feign. And so around its trackage, the little clockwork train we call the heart goes spinning to entertain the brain. Thank you.
My name is Irina, and I'm a grad student in the Department of Foreign Languages, and I'm majoring in French, but I will be reading in Russian since this is my native language, and it's a very important moment because I really love my language, and I love this poem. This is my favorite poet of all times. His name is Alexander Blok, and he lived in the beginning of the 20th century. So the poem is called Unknown Woman, so I'll read it in Russian first, and then I'll read the English translation. По вечерам над ресторанами горячий воздух дих и глух, и правит окриками пьяными весенний и тлетворный дух. Вдали, над пылью переулочной, над скукой загородных дач, чуть золотится крендель булочный, и раздается детский плач. И каждый вечер за шлагбаумами, заламывая котелки, среди канав гуляют с дамами испытанные остряки. Над озером скрипят уключены, и раздается женский визг, а в небе, ко всему приученный, бессмысленно кривится диск. И каждый вечер друг единственный в моем стакане отражен, и влагой терпкой и таинственной, как я, смирен и оглушен. А рядом у соседних столиков лакеи сонные торчат, и пьяницы с глазами кроликов «In vino veritas» кричат. И каждый вечер в час назначенный, или это тоже снится мне, девичий стан, шелками схваченный, в туманном движется окне. И медленно, пройдя меж пьяными, всегда без спутников, одна, дыша духами и туманами, она садится у окна, и веет древними поверьями ее упругие шелка, и шляпа с траурными перьями, и в кольцах узкая рука, и странной близостью, закованной, смотрю за темную вуаль, и вижу берег очарованный, и очарованную даль. Глухие тайны мне поручены, мне чье-то солнце вручено, и все души моей излучины пронзило терпкое вино. И перья страуса, склоненные в моем качаются мозгу, и очи синие, бездонные, цветут на дальнем берегу. В моей душе лежит сокровище, и ключ поручен только мне. Ты права, пьяное чудовище. Я знаю, истина в вине. So this is not my translation, that was translated by Alek Vagapov. I've changed it a little bit, so just to make sure that it's not me. It's copyright law.
It's no longer his.
The heated air in the restaurants is wild and dull as anything. The drunken hails are ruled by restless and noxious spirit of the spring. Far off, beyond the dusty alley, over the boring countryside, there is a bake shop, and the valley resounds with crying of a child. And every night, beyond the barriers, parading, cocking their hats, amidst the ditches the admirers perambulate with dear hearts. Above the lake, the creak of oarlock and women's screams impale the place, and in the sky, the moon disk warlock, inanely smiling, makes a face. And every night my friend appears as a reflection in my glass. Like me, he's stunned and set at ease by magic liquid, drunk and mass. The footmen, true to their habits, relax at tables next to us, and drunkards, staring like rabbits, exclaim, "In vino veritas." And every evening at this hour, or is it just a dreamy case, a waist in satin, like a flower, moves past the window in the haze. Without drunken men to hinder, alone, she walks across the room and settles down by the window, exhaling fog and sweet perfume. There is a kind of old times flavor about her silky clothes and things, her hat in mourning plumes, and ever her hand and fingers all in rings. I feel her close, a strange emotion, and looking through the veil I see the vast of an amazing ocean, the coast of an amazing sea. And ostrich plumes, desired and welcome, are gently swaying in my mind, and dark blue eyes, as deep as ocean, are blooming on the distant side. Deep in my soul, I have a treasure, and I'm the only one who has the key. You're right, you heady monstrous creature. In vino veritas, I see.
I would like to thank Fernando for putting this wonderful reading together. It's amazing to just, I don't know, I guess different languages. I think one of talking or reading poetry in different languages, I don't think, no matter what is the language, we won't understand what's going on in poetry. So that's the sweet part. Today Sima told me that Adrian Rich died, passed away, so I want to honor her this reading, and I decided to use Alfonsina Storni. She's kind of an icon for women's rights in the Americas, and I'm gonna read one poem that is, I don't know how to explain, a hate poem against someone with double standard, asking a woman to be pure while the male is not as pure, of course. It's very intense, it's very cathartic. I love this poem. I read it in Spanish and I'll be satisfied. So if anyone want to read it in English and feel the sensation of liberation, it's more than welcome. So I'll read the Spanish version, and then if you want to take this rage out of your heart, this is the time. Tú me quieres blanca, meaning you want me white, you want me pure. Tú me quieres blanca. Tú me quieres alba, me quieres de espumas, me quieres de nácar, que sea azucena, sobre todas casta, de perfumes tenue, corola cerrada. Ni un rayo de luna filtrado me halla, ni una margarita se diga mi hermana. Tú me quieres nivea, tú me quieres blanca, tú me quieres alba. Tú, que hubiste todas las copas a manos, de frutos y mieles los labios morados. Tú, que en banquete cubierto de pámpanos dejaste las carnes festejando a Baco. Tú, que en jardines del engaño, vestido de rojo, corriste al estrago. Tú, que el esqueleto conservas intacto, no sé todavía por cuál es milagro, me pretendes blanca, Dios te lo perdone. Me pretendes casta, Dios te lo perdone. Me pretendes alba. Huye hacia los bosques, vete a la montaña, límpiate la boca, vive en las cabañas, toca con las manos la piel mojada, alimenta el cuerpo con raíz amarga, bebe de las rocas, duerme sobre la escarcha, renueva los tejidos con salitre y agua. Habla con los pájaros y llévate el alba, y cuando las carnes te sean tornadas, y cuando hayas puesto en ellas el alma, por la que con alcobas quedó enredada, entonces, buen hombre, preténdeme blanca, preténdeme nivea, preténdeme casta. Anyone? Sure? Okay. Well, I'll read it with my Hispanic accent, so it's kind of halfway from English to Spanish, I guess. Less than halfway, probably. You want me white. You'd like me to be white as dawn. You'd like to me be made of foam. You wish me I were mother of pearl, a lily, a chase above other all, of delicate perfume, a close bud. No ray of moon should have filtered me, not one daisy should have called me a sister. You want me to be snowy, you want me to be white, you want me to be like dawn. You have to hold all wine glasses in your hands. We've seen that. Your lips stained purple with fruit and honey. You who in the banquet crowned with young vines made toast with flesh of Bacchus. You who in the garden of black and the seas dressed in red ran to your ruins. You who keep your skeleton well preserved, intact, I don't know how yet, though what miracle. You want me to make me white, God forgive you. You want me to make me a chase, God forgive you. You want me to be like down. Run away to the woods, go to the mountain, wash your mouth, get to know the wet earth with your hands. Feed your body with bitter roots, drink from the rocks, sleep on the white frost, renew your tissues with salt of rock and water. Talk to the birds and get up at dawn. And when your flesh has turned to you, and when you have to put your soul back into it, your soul which have life and tell you in bedrooms, then, my good man, ask me to be white, ask me to be snowy, ask me to be chaste. Thank you.
And now I would like to call Juanita Poco, who's going to read a poem in Swahili with the English translation.
So I'm reading a poem by Ahmad Nasir Nasi Juma. This poem was written in 1936 in praise of his mother tongue. The sound, line, and rhythm of the poem is very important in this context, but they are lost when they are translated in English. Kiswahili. Risala enuka ima sikae utatwiri ina jambo takutuma ubarashegeshe Swahili nipate jawabu njema yenye amani na kweli. Nauliza Kiswahili ni lugha gani? Lugha nyingi duniani zinatamkwa mbalimbali na zote ulimwenguni zina wenyewe mahali. Si Hindi si Uzungu, nauliza Kiswahili ni lugha watu gani? Wakamba wana Kikwao, lugha yao ya Aswili, na Wazungu pia wana zao mbalimbali, na Wameru wana yao, wengine ni Wasomali. Ndizo matamshi yao, na yetu ni lugha gani? Wahindi wana Kihindi kwa kabila mbalimbali, na Wanandi ni Kinandi, ndizo zao Ukawali. Wengine ni wa Kilindi, wana yao ya Aswali. Je, hichi Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Kuuliza si ujinga, msinifanye sahili, na utafuta muanga, tuzinduane akili. Ndipo shairi katunga, kubaragesha swali, nielezwe Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Mara nyingi husikia kuwa hichi Kiswahili hakina mtu mmoja ambaye ni yake kweli, na wengine utetea kina wenyewe Aswili. Ndipo kamba Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Masai ana Kikwao, lugha ya tangu azali, na Mhali wana yao, wengine Masherisheri, na Waruo lugha zao si sawa na Marangoli. Je, hichi Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Na jamii wengineo wana lugha za mbalimbali, na kujua za wenzio ni kujifunza ya pili, lakini wana na zao lugha za tangu Aswili. Je, hichi Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Sasa ambalo nataka kwa wenye kujua hili, Wakenya na Watanganyika na walo kila mahali, nipani ilo hakika, tusifitane ukweli. Naambie Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Mimi nimefikiri mno kuamua jambo hili, na kuona lugha ino lazima ina Aswili, kwa sababu kula neno lina mwanzo wa usuli. Ndipo kamba Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Na iwapo hivi sivyo nilivyoamua, ili nionyeshani vilivyo, mudhihirishe ukweli, nijue ambavyo ndivyo, tutoane mshiriki, kifunuke Kiswahili ni lugha ya watu gani? Tamati ndio alii, jina langu ndilo hili, Amadi wa Nasiri, na Baro ndilo la pili, mtungaji mashuhuri, mpenda msema kweli. In English is the same person. The Swahili language. Messengerize quickly, don't linger, don't dawdle. I have an errand for you. Carry my question to the addressee, so that I may receive a good answer, one that gives peace. Because it contains the truth, I ask you for what sort of people is Swahili the language. There are many languages in the world pronounced in different ways, and all the languages on earth have people who belong to them in a special place. Not only in India, not only in Europe and America, but everywhere. As the Almighty created languages, I ask for what sort of people is the Swahili the language. The Kamba have their own language, which has been there since their genesis. And the British too, or the Europeans, have their own several languages, and Meru people have their own, and the Somali are different people again, and so they have their own language. And which language is ours? The Indians of Hindi for various tribes. And for the Nandi there is the Nandi language. That is their own speech, and different again are the people of Usambara. They have their own original language. Tell me for what sort of people is Swahili the language. Asking is not stupidity. Do not think that mine is easy. I am searching for light that we may shake the minds awake. That is why I made a poem. In order to communicate this problem, let it be explained to me for what sort of people is Swahili the language. One often hears of this Swahili language that there isn't anyone for what it is own language, and others argue that it does have original speakers, owners. That is why I'm saying for what sort of people is Swahili the language. The Messiah has his own language ever since the beginning of creation, and the people of the island of Socotra have theirs, and the people of the Seychelles are different again, and the Nilots have their language, which are different from those of Labori people. Tell me what sort of people is Swahili the language. Now that I am asking for those who knows this, the people of Kenya and Tanganyika, and that means those who live everywhere, give me a truth answer. Let us not hide the truth from one another. Tell me what sort of people is Swahili the language. I have thought a great deal to solve this problem, and I have realized that this language must have an origin, because every word is the beginning of its root. So I say, what sort of people is Swahili the language? And if there arrives the person who can solve my problem, I beg of him one thing. Let us take together in an intelligent manner. Let us not show each other miracle. Throw dust in each other's eye by saying something that is not acceptable. So tell me what sort of people is Swahili the language. Finish. This is the end. My name is as follows: Ahmad, son of Nasir, and Barrow, that is my second surname, a famous poet, a lover, and a speaker of the truth. I'm sorry, it's very long.
I will read two, because one of them is very short. The first one from Nazım Hikmet Ran. He was born in 1902 in Saloniki, today Greece, when the Ottoman Empire was in charge. He became a great poet, great father, great lover, and a great socialist. That's why he spent most of his life in the prisons. And then he escaped. He had to live in exile in Soviet Union. And then he died in 1963 in Moscow. His poem is called Living. And I'm going to read it in Turkish first and then in English. Yaşamak şakaya gelmez. Büyük bir ciddiyetle yaşayacaksın. Bir sincap gibi mesela. Yani yaşamanın dışında ve ötesinde hiçbir şey beklemeden. Yani bütün işin gücün yaşamak olacak. Living is no laughing matter. You must live with great seriousness. Like a squirrel, for example. I mean, without looking for something beyond and above living. I mean, living must be your whole occupation. The second one is by Edip Harabi. He lived between 19th and 20th century, in between there. He is what we call in Turkish, I'm going to translate it directly, one of those public poets. You know, he didn't write down things. He had his instrument. He was just singing his poems. And the name of the poem is Show Some Reverence to Wine. He belongs to a Sufi tradition, Here comes the Turkish one first. Ey zahit, şaraba eyle ihtiram. İnsan ol cihanda, bu dünya fani. Ehliye helaldir, na ehle haram. Biz içeriz, bize yoktur vebali. Sevap almak için içeriz şarap. İçmezsek oluruz düçar azap. Senin aklın ermez, bu başka hesap. Meyhanede bulduk biz bu kemali. Kandil geceleri kandil oluruz. Kandilin içinde fitil oluruz. Hakkı göstermeye delil oluruz. Fakat kör olanlar görmez bu hali. Sen münkirsin, sana haramdır bade. Bekle ki içesin öbür dünyada. Bahs açma harabi bundan ziyade. Çünkü bilmez haram ile helali. Show some reverence to wine. Hey, pious one. Show some reverence to wine. Be truly righteous and stop all his slandering. It is within the law for adepts to drink wine. When we drink, where are the sins accumulating? It is God's pleasure we wish to gain. Your mind has a hard time with this scheme. Yet it was in the tavern that this knowledge was attained. We become wicks dipped in the oil of truth. We become lit like lamps on the night of power. The night of power is the night Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad. We become both the proof and the signpost to truth. But those without vision can never see this far. If you really are unfaithful, then drinking is a sin. You should wait until paradise for imbibing. Oh Harabi, you better not say anymore. He doesn't know the law's true meaning.